Alright, back in Clue, we in here. Now that y'all want to know, okay, what's this channel about? What are we going to be talking about? Like this year, besides, okay, prepping and all that stuff, what is the direction? We're going to definitely be talking about eating disorders, disordered eating, and how usually people talk about the same kind of stuff, but I don't really want to talk about, it's similar because that's all you can talk about, is how we actually sometimes are brought up to have these issues, these bad associations with food. So right now I want to dissect the character of Kate Pearson from This Is Us, because I feel I feel like she's the perfect example of an obese character and a very real depiction on television. Not this false confidence image you see, or this super always depressed, or no. She's very real and relatable, and that's what I like about the show, is that they really try to make things real, because she's confident, but she also acknowledges that her obesity is a problem. She knows she's not her obesity, and that doesn't define her, but she knows it's a problem. And also, they do a good job of identifying what her issue is with food and showing how your parents could play into it. And this is how. So, Kate Pearson on the show, played by Chrissy Metz, who I do have a lot of respect for, not because of her being on the show or her being obese, just other things that she does and what she stands for and how she carries herself. Of course, that doesn't mean I agree with everything she says and or does, because I don't know what she's up to right now. I don't want to get hit with some crazy accusation, but I do have a degree of respect for her. So this is not me trying to diss her anyway. This is me dissecting a character that she plays. So yeah, she has an emotional attachment with food. Right up early on, you figure that out. She's an emotional eater. Like many people watching the show are probably emotional eaters, you know? Like, especially I feel like women are taught this or instilled or bombarded with images of this. The classic girl breaks up with her boyfriend, so she eats a gallon of ice cream. That's bad, you know? I know that if my, I know that even my own wife, if she's like, if she wants something or whatever, her mom, she can say she's actively trying to lose weight. Her mom will give her sweets and stuff just because she likes them or to make her feel better about something. That's bad, right? And it's funny because she'll do that and directly sabotage her and tell her she's getting fat. But let's stay on Kate Pearson. And yeah, Kate Pearson has that same issue a lot of people have, that emotional attachment. So whenever she goes through an emotional stress or time, she just eats. She struggles to control it. And what you see is, even when she was younger, she struggled with her weight. She ate more than she should eat. And you see her mom saying, which parents should try to take measures to, if you see your kid gains too much weight, you need to do something about it. Be a parent. So she's like, yeah, you're gaining too much weight. We need to do something about the way that you're eating. We need to make some changes to your diet because you're gaining weight. We need to figure out what's going on with you and get your eating under control. But in her dad, Jack, she's classic daddy's girl, right? He would definitely say, because he loves her, so he would say, no, you're fine just the way you are. All that stuff that people who care about you or allegedly care about you, Jack actually cared about it. I'm just saying. All the things that they say, right? And so he would sneak her off to get ice cream and all kinds of stuff, right? Because, I mean, she's daddy's little girl. He loves his little girl. He knows that her mom doesn't want her to eat that stuff, but she likes that stuff, so he wants to give it to her, even though she has a weight problem and that's not helping. But the thing is, one thing was that which we're also seeing, even though he's kind of like promoting her obesity in this way, is him making sure she understood that she wasn't her weight, so he still spoke, I would say spoke life into her and let her know, like, hey, I know that pretty much, I know that you're overweight and all that stuff, but you're still, you're still beautiful, and don't let nobody take that away from you. Um, don't don't let that define you, pretty much, which is a great message, which is why I'm using this example, which is why I love the show, because even if you're overweight or whatever, that doesn't define you. Don't let that define you. That might be something you're going through or struggling with. It doesn't define you. So later on, this is not a spoiler alert for anyone, so you'll find out very quickly, unless you've never seen it and the first 5 minutes are going to take you off guard. Jack dies. I'm not going to tell you how he dies, because that kind of, yeah. But anyway, I think you figure out early how he dies, but like they definitely, I'm not going to say too much. Anyway, Jack dies, and pretty much Kate feels like it's her fault, which it kind of sort of is. It's one of those things where like his love for her led him to do something that resulted in his death, because like he just, it wasn't that he didn't do anything bad, but when you watch the show, if you haven't seen it, you'll kind of see. So that caused her eating to just spiral out of control, right? Because that's an emotional trigger. Not only is her father dead, but she feels like it's her fault. So we see her. This is her as a teenager. This is when it happens. As an adult, let's face it, she's what we would say like morbidly obese at this point. She's beyond obesity. So she's having some struggles with that. She's trying to lose the weight. But I'm not going to give you a play-by-play of the show. What ends up happening is that, and there's some spoilers, so if you don't really want to hear it yet, you can click off the video if you're not caught up. But if you don't really care, you can keep listening. The show is really good in showing and saying that Kate's not her obesity. She even makes an anorexic friend, but she goes to this group to help her. When they talk about like what their weight and stuff like that, and it's all heavy people. That's where she meets her husband at, and she's like, and there's like this real skinny girl there who's always talking, but she sounds real dumb when she's speaking about certain stuff. Her complaints Kate feels like they're trivial. And until she's like, why are you here? Until she discovers that this girl's actually, I think she's like anorexic. I don't think either she's anorexic or bulimic or a combination of both. Like that's what she actually struggles with. And they end up forming a friendship when she realizes that, and they become pretty close. But the show shows like, hey, there's very real repercussions and issues to being obese. And one of the things happens, like I said, she meets her husband in this group for heavy people, so they don't, but in fact, let's face facts, they don't lose the weight, right? They get together, and instead of losing the weight, they don't. And they get married and all this stuff. She gets pregnant right off the bat because of her weight. Her pregnancy is high risk. Her age should have made it high risk already, but her weight in of itself made it high risk. She ends up having a miscarriage because she has too much weight on her. This is reality. Doctors are even warning her. She spirals again because it's not like she's not trying to take efforts and steps. Like a lot of you take efforts and steps to try to gain control of your weight or lose the weight. Some people, like I said previous times, just don't have the know-how or necessarily know what they're doing to do something and be successful, make it happen. But even if you do, this is something that people face. Especially when you're an emotional eater, and that's a trigger. Like, because if you have an emotional trauma and you run to food, you get that dopamine rush and all that stuff. Guess what? Food is your drug. And the most dangerous thing about that is that the very thing that you need to survive is the drug. That's like being addicted to crack, but you have to smoke it to stay alive. You got to teeter on the balance, right? But anyway, so yeah. But eventually she gets pregnant again, and there's pretty much the same concerns arise because, like, yo, you're overweight. You're severely overweight. This is going to cause some issues with your pregnancy. And she's scared the whole time because she just had this miscarriage because of her weight. And of course, she feels like it's her fault, the same way she felt like it was her fault that she lost her father, because now it's her obesity that caused her to lose this child. And watching the series, I mean, kind of is like, if you're overweight, that's very controllable, and you get pregnant and you lose a kid, it is your fault. That sounds harsh, but it is your fault. But there's so much going on to unpack here that I can't really get into it. But I will say that that's why it's important to not only work on the eating less aspect of obesity, but the psychological factors that actually lead to obesity. Because if she actually was able to work on her emotional issues and that connection that she formed, she probably would have been able to lose the weight long ago. Because her real issue is not that she eats too much. Her real issue is the connection between her emotions and food. And when she has some issues in her life, the only way she knows how to deal with her emotions is by using food. That's the real issue. So without settling the issue over here, her obesity is never really gonna get checked. If you watch the series, you know when life's going well for her, her journey goes well. As soon as it falls apart, she spirals. It's just like being a drug addict. So that's why this year, one of the things I want to focus on, or it's not just obesity, but also the psychological factors that lead to eating disorders and disorder eating, and how maybe we can overcome or try to seek out the proper ways of helping people besides just diet and exercise. Because diet and exercise for a lot of people is the easy part. It's what actually causes them to be overweight. So back to this. Now, her husband told me, she gets pregnant, she has the baby, but the baby is born blind. And this is another issue stemming from her obesity. That's why the baby's born blind, because her weight, right? So the show is not saying be obese and confident, everything's going fast. It's not even promoting health at every size, which we know from looking scientifically, medically, is false, it's incorrect, and it's dangerous misinformation. But the reason why I like the show is because and despite saying that's not true, it also shows you what the character issue is. She even identifies it herself. So she knows what her struggle is. A lot of people know what their struggle is, but it's so strong it's hard to overcome. You actually might need professional help. And she still knows that and is confident enough to realize her obesity is negatively impacting her, not only her life, but the life of her potential offspring, and also just, her health, and just at times the people around her. But she also realized she's not her obesity. That's why I feel like she's the perfect character, because it doesn't, oftentimes shows don't go that deep into it, or they don't go deep enough, or they don't show what true confidence in yourself looks like. True confidence in yourself is not, I'm fat and I'm proud. True confidence in yourself is, I realize I have an issue, but yet and still, I'm not that issue. I'm not this thing going on. That's true confidence, because she hasn't identified herself. Like I said, a lot of people, I didn't say it in this video, but I said it in prior ones and prior posts, that people often associate themselves with their weight or what they look like. So that's how when you tell a person who's overweight to lose weight, or if people are used to being in shape or looking a certain way, and for whatever reason that deteriorates, they feel like they're losing themselves, they feel like you're attacking them. They don't associate things with health or whatever the true issue is. They associate the weight. That's why when people lose weight, even people say, oh, you don't look like yourself. Like, you can only look like yourself. You are yourself. But they associate you with your weight. The same thing. So she doesn't associate herself with her weight. She realizes she's not her weight. And that's very important in of itself. So that's that as far as that's concerned. But also we see, like, Toby, her husband, begins to lose weight, and he gets He actually makes tremendous progress, which is good. But he's upset because of his baby, so he's like, yeah, instead of him eating, which I'm not sure what his issue is, why he's overweight necessarily. He does have some other issues going on with him, but like his response to the emotional trauma was actually to take up CrossFit. But he gets into remarkable shape, great shape. Not remarkable shape, but like if you've been following him in the series, Toby then is not Toby now, right? So Toby's looking good. And I mean, of course, his wife is kind of like feeling some kind of way, because I mean he's in shape and he's like, and she's like fat and she's worried he might not be attracted to her or whatever. But he never really told her he was struggling with the baby being blind, so she's thinking he's losing attraction to her and all kinds of stuff like that, which can happen. That's very realistic, that maybe somebody will feel that way, or that could even happen because he's going to the gym. There's always people that some girl mysteriously is texting him, but I'm not going to ruin, that's spoiled. I'm not going to ruin anything with that, because if you done that in of itself might be a revelation to some people. I'm not going to say what happens with that situation. But she feels like he's losing attraction to her, and like when they go out to eat, she's so big she can't fit in booths, so he has to try to cleverly make excuses to find to get a table or whatever. But she just says like, nah, because they're like, wow, I mean, we can sit in the booth, we don't really need a table, but she just comes out and says, look, I'm too big to sit at the booth. He just didn't want to say it. So she acknowledges all of these things, but that's all very realistic. She realizes she's not obese, so she's truly confident. That's what I'm saying. She's truly confident, but she realizes that her weight is negatively impacting her health. It resulted in a miscarriage, caused her son to be born blind, and yeah, she can't even sit in regular spaces. Which, by the way, some people are calling this thin privilege. That's you're too big to fit in a normal space. You know what I'm saying? If you're that big and you can't fit in a normal space, you shouldn't expect people to just make everything larger. It costs money to make things larger. That takes up more space. If you're that large, that should be the first clue that you need to lose weight or do something about your weight, period. Take ownership. If you have an issue that's resulting in you being overweight like that, before it even gets to that point, you need to acknowledge it. You need to try to find the help you need. If that's a therapist, a psychologist, ain't no shame. Do what you need to do to be healthy. If it's just simply you do need to diet and exercise, that's what you need to do. You're talking about your health. Don't believe that those lies that people are talking about. You could be metabolically healthy and overweight for sure, but what they don't tell you is 80% of people who start off as metabolically healthy will not remain so. Life expectancy is short, even if you show up technically healthy on paper. Life expectancy is shorter when you're heavier. Point blank, period. The top diseases killing people in the United States are directly related to diet and obesity. Come on, guys, this is a serious thing. But at the same time, like, the reason why I'm saying that she's a good character is that you're not your obesity. You can acknowledge that it's an issue without saying anything bad about yourself, because you are not your weight, and that's very important about that. Now, of course, I'm going to be talking about other issues, but that's what this was about. If you haven't seen This Is Us, definitely check it out. And yeah, this is my video on Kate Pearson, why I think she's the perfect character. And just to rehash for the last time, because this is a little long video, a little bit long, she knows that she has an emotional trigger that causes her to eat, even though she can't control it. But you know that. 2, she knows she's not her weight. So I consider her truly confident in herself. Even if you watch the show, you realize that she's confident in herself. Like, she might not have been maybe as a teenager, but I'm talking about it. The show jumps around, but she's truly confident in self. 3, she acknowledges that her obesity is a problem. The show acknowledges that her obesity is a problem in a very real way, in a way that is like sincere, honest, and how it really plays out for a lot of people. 4, even a dynamic with Toby getting into shape, her husband, how she felt how that caused her to feel about herself. Wonder, okay, well now he's in shape. Is he losing attraction to me? He's still attracted to me. Oh, he has to make these excuses because I can't fit in certain spaces because I'm so big and all this. Those are real issues people have in general. So that's why I think, because she's real. Every other show you watch, they're either like, oh, fat and brown, nothing bad's going to happen, or it's a comedy, and the doctor says you need to lose weight, but nothing really follows up with that, and they're just ridiculous at the end of the episode. They're like, oh, I don't care if you're fat, or something running around, and they laugh and kiss and make it. No, this show is like, no, this is a real problem. As even, and if you're paying attention, you could track the trajectory of the problem, what the root cause is, and how this is negatively impacting her life without making her some Eeyore-like character. And that's what I like. I think that's what people need to see. Real characters, what real confidence looks like. Real confidence is not ignoring your issue. It's being able to acknowledge your issue without feeling like somehow you're demeaning yourself. And that's why I like her character. That's why I like the show, because they tackle a lot of issues that way that are very real. Sometimes it's messy, and it's not the way TV usually is. It doesn't do it in a way that's threatening or out of the box or like cheap. They really take their time developing. It seems like they really try to study at least what they're putting out there. So I recommend the show. I wanted to say that. I wanted to break her character down one last time. This is getting real close to me rambling. I'm gonna cut it here. And tell me what you think. Like, comment, share. Help get the brother in the rhythm for the algorithm, if you know what I'm saying. And I will catch you later. Until then, how you want to act?